Hi everyone, my name is Max McClain. I'm currently a junior here at University of South Florida. I am a business finance major and I do not have any minors currently. So this is my 2019 Tableau project. We'll go ahead and just quickly jump right into it right here. Here was the data set that we were given, and this is broken down very simply by state, salesperson, insurance type. We see the sale itself, the cost that was, and the date of sale, invoice, and then state type. So here's what we kind of had to work with, and we will see this later reflected in some graphs. So we'll go ahead and look at that right now. So first up, we see here this is the total sum sold by each state of insurance plans. So we see that New York is leading it off, followed by DC, Ohio, Virginia, and then Maryland and West Virginia. So right here we see that New York has $1,131,192.55 of insurance plans sold. So we see that this northeastern area is really dominating when it comes to total prices, total insurance plan price sold. All right, so next we see here, this is the average cost of insurance plan sold by each state. So this shouldn't be a surprise considering that the highest total sum of insurance plans sold monetarily was in the Northeast. We do see that New York is leading it off with the highest average sold, followed by New Jersey, DC, West Virginia, Ohio, and Maryland again. So the total highest average sale of each insurance plan is being reflected with this data. Now here might be a little bit of a surprise here. We do see this is the total number of plans, so the total count by each state. And we see that Maine is leading it off with just under 1,400 plans sold, followed by South Dakota and Oregon. So that might be a little bit of a surprise. However, we might be able to look at the average cost of insurance plans sold, being that those might be a little bit lower than some of these like New Jersey and DC and New York and Virginia. It might reflect why they had more sold. However, I will point out that we still see states like New Jersey and DC, New York and Virginia, and Florida for that matter, that did have still a very high amount sold, we see here, but also a higher cost on average. So that would again be reflected with that first data by state, that total sum of monetary value for the insurance plan sold by each state. All right, and this here is just going to be reflecting that data even further. So again, I've already kind of mentioned the Northeast and the Southeast a little bit. So this is just breaking it up into actual region. And as we could probably tell by the data that we've seen before and by the graphs that we've looked at before, the Northeast is leading very largely with $9,763,084 being sold in insurance plans, but followed by the Southeast. And there really isn't much of a surprise there, because if we look at those total numbers sold and we look at that average cost per the insurance plan, this is all being reflected out here. Now we do see places like New England that had a lot of sold, had a high amount of insurance plans sold being up there in Maine, but their average cost was lower, and those other New England states just didn't really pull through like Maine did. Okay, so here's some data reflected by the region, but by the actual salesperson that sold the amount here. So we do see the sum of sales, the total cost, the total sum of sales, and we see that the most was actually sold by the West there with Peter and Kelly. They had the highest sum of sales in the whole country, followed by the North Central with Nicole and Mario. But again, we see this Northeast area, and they have Mike, Matt, and Fred, and while their sales might not be quite as high as these couple of people, we do see that there are three of them. So on average, each salesperson is getting that little bit higher sales range. So we see almost $9 million, well, over $9 million, around $10 million worth of sales sold by these three, and we only see right here around 7. So we can still conclude that Northeast would have the highest total sum of sales for insurance policies. All right, and so this is a little bit different, but here's the insurance type. So we're looking at here the data by the insurance type sold. So we see here that the profession right here, this professional insurance is just really going away with the field, and it has sold almost double the amount of the second most, which would be auto. But again, we might be able to take that data and draw some conclusions by it, considering that we realize that the Northeast and those New York and Virginia states have kind of the highest total sum sold. That professional data, there's a lot of businesses, a lot of factories up that way, so they need a lot of insurance plans to protect them, from lawsuits and things. So that could be something that reflects that. We also see out west that number's high as well, places like Los Angeles and all. So that could also be seen as a reflection of the data. All right, so finally here we're just going to look at just a quick visual of everything we already kind of know. So here's just a shaded map that kind of shows us some of the data that we've already come to the conclusion of. We really see this Northeast area right there as being shaded darker, and that just has to do with the sum of sales, the total cost, the total amount of plans being sold, and the price that they're bringing in for those plans. So we see that area is a real big hotspot. Again, places like Ohio, a lot of businesses. So business and factories, and we do see that western hemisphere over here, they do have a little darker shade, while not near what we see here. And we do have places like Florida that has a high population. Florida is a very high population state, a lot of jobs and things down here. So, but again, doesn't quite compare to this area up here. So that is my Tableau project. I hope everyone enjoyed watching, and thank you very much for your time.